Branding isn't just a logo, it's a mindset. A holistic approach shaping identities, experiences, and leadership at every level. Welcome to Brands Talk with your host, Brigitte Bakowski, where excellence meets purpose. We share insights and lessons to inspire and elevate. Let's dive in. Today's guest is someone who truly lives out loud with passion, purpose, and a serious dose of courage. She's a former corporate queen who ruled the world of business for 23 years before trading her tiara for a pen and a microphone. Now she's a full-time author and live podcaster who isn't afraid to speak the unfiltered truth. With 2 books under her belt, including the award-winning Where the Hell is My Bacon?, a hilarious and heartfelt take on workplace culture, Beth Anne Campbell has built a brand rooted in authenticity, honesty, and bold self-expression. She's also the brilliant host of The Thirsty Professional, a LinkedIn and YouTube live show where she and her guests grab a drink and get real about careers, calling, and what truly matters. Proud Michigander turned Virginian, a storyteller, a ghost hunter, a steampunk hat wearer, and forever in pursuit of badassery. I'm thrilled to welcome Beth Anne Campbell to Brands Talk. Welcome, Beth.
Bridget, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for being on my show today. Let's get started. You often say that you traded in your corporate tiara for a pen and a microphone. What mindset shift allowed you to step into that new version of yourself?
Well, it's interesting because sometimes I traded in my tiara and a lot of stress for a pen and a microphone. So that was interesting because I think my mindset when I was in corporate was probably, I was a little baby mindset, right? The decision to leave corporate was made for me. I wanted to leave for so long, but my mindset was not quite there. I didn't quite have the confidence. Because as you know, a steady paycheck is a lovely thing, especially in this economy. But so the decision was made for me because I got laid off. And it was really mindset work, some real strategic foundational mindset work that helped me come out of this thought that, well, I can't be successful if I'm not in corporate and I have to make all this money right away. And I don't have what it takes to be a creative entrepreneur. So I often wonder what if I had done this mindset journey before I left corporate, would I still be there? But you know what? We can't go back. So it's really been since I was laid off, that mindset has really been instrumental in me finding out who I am and what I want to be when I grow up. So
Exactly. As you say, we can't go back. We only can go forward. And it's a lot of mindset work and it's instrumental and it's the foundation. And I think we have to get real with ourselves when we start becoming a business owner. Also, for me, it was the hardest work ever to go deep in introspection and understand who I truly am and doing the hard work, doing the mindset work. And along with that, you talk a lot about authenticity and raw honesty. How has embracing your own truth shaped your identity? That what you have become and what you are still becoming, your personal brand, your essence, versus the one you carried in your corporate life. You don't want to go back to, and you also cannot turn back time to and wonder if I had the mindset when I was still a corporate. It's useless to ask this question, right? Can you talk a little bit about how you have embraced your own truth on your journey?
Yeah, it's ironic because really it was probably my corporate career that really helped me develop that sense of honesty and transparency that I now carry and can use better in my entrepreneur life. Because when I was in corporate, I was a manager. So I was in corporate for 23 years in the technology sector. And I just sort of moved up the ladder and got into projects and I became a manager. And it was just a little bit of a struggle for me, but I think most of the people that worked for me would say that I was a good leader. And a lot of that was because I was always as transparent and honest as I could possibly be, ethically and legally. Obviously, in a corporate environment, there are certain things that you can't talk about, but it shocked me, and you probably experienced a little bit of this too, Bridget, is it shocked me how many people in leadership positions and high leadership positions filter the message. They as we say, sugarcoat the message. They don't give the message at all. And I was one of those a little bit rebellious people. Um, Definitely, there was some anger and bitterness in there too, but that was one place, corporate was a place where I really did develop this sense of understanding how people appreciate when you are authentic, when you share parts of yourself. Like, no one has to read my diary, but I can talk a little bit about my personal life. And I was shocked at how many people in leadership positions didn't. They're very sheltered. They're very held back about their personal life and about things going on in the company. And I always appreciated when my bosses would give me information. And I know my team appreciated it. So I carried that with me. I feel like corporate, as much as I rant about it, there are some good things. And one of the good things was it was a place where it allowed me to be a little bit rebellious against the status quo and be transparent and honest and let people know, yes, this is happening. I don't know the answer. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I will be there for you. And I feel like that it's almost a vulnerability. And I think that built a lot of trust. So I can thank corporate life for a few things. And one of them is being transparent and honest about a lot of things.
Exactly. And being this rebellious person and stretching a little bit the boundaries, right, in this corporate
Yes.
world. Yeah. And so actually, you have seen the good, you have seen the bad, you have seen the downright ugly in corporate. So how
Yes.
how do those experiences influence your message as an entrepreneur and most of all as a brain storyteller?
Well, it's really interesting. I've always said there's a guy that I follow who has a great quote that says, discomfort is the herald of opportunity. And makes us who we are is going through these difficult experiences. Just having these experiences, and some of them are ugly. I mean, I wrote a whole book about a really ugly experience. Those experiences, whether they're good, bad, or ugly, are shape who we are. So I don't regret any of it. And I do carry that forward. And of course, it shapes me who I am today. I'm still a rebel, but I think I'm different because now that I'm out of that environment that can be very toxic, I think a lot of people in a traditional professional job would agree. Now that the stress is gone and I am realizing that following my dreams and being happy is most important, there's the brain space that I can kind of use that experience. My experience in corporate was a lot of anger and resentment and bitterness. It served a purpose at the time, but I bring all of that ugliness into the future because it helps me in the context of contrast, right? I know what I don't want now. I know that I don't want the stress. I know that I don't want the toxic leaders. I know that I don't want the hiding the message and not telling people what's going on and having people very stressed out. I don't regret anything. And I think that good, bad, and ugly is necessary for us to be the people that we are today. And I like who I am today. So
I totally agree to that. It's exactly those bad and ugly experiences. I mean, also the beautiful one, but I think the
yeah,
most what we learn out of or where we learn out of and where we get the understand why we are here for, the purpose actually comes from this kind of pain, this
yeah,
kind of anger that we were going through. It just tells us, first of all, as you say, what we do not want, but makes visible and gives clarity to what we want and why we are here and why we want to start our own business, become an entrepreneur and never give up and always look forward. And the only time we look backwards is exactly when we want to make sense of all of that and see the good thing. It's not the beautiful thing that we have experienced that make us take action and boldly and courageously going forward in pursuing our goals and our visions that we get out of that.
Percent.
Thank you for explaining that to us again. I think that's a wake up. It's telling us where our journey is supposed to go. And there's other things that on the way we are learning from the facts versus the stories we tell ourselves. So let's talk facts and stories very quickly, because I think that's one of
Yes.
your top topics. How can this awareness be a powerful tool for leaders out there looking to build a more emotionally intelligent and authentic self, or an authentic brand culture? Tell us.
Yeah. So let's first talk about what is facts and stories. So I learned this from the Proctor Gallagher Institute, which is a big mindset program that I was in. And it basically is when we start making assumptions about people or events that are just completely not true, or maybe true, but we just don't know it. One of my favorite examples is road rage. So we've all experienced that someone's just gets angry on the road, and we don't, what was that all about? And I find myself, I still do this. If somebody maybe pulls out in front of me, if I'm going on a fast road, and I immediately start thinking things like, oh, he doesn't like women. He saw I was a woman, and he's driving a truck, right? So it's a man, and he's just doesn't like women, or he doesn't care about people. And then I stop myself and I think, Beth, what are you doing? You are just making stuff up. The guy probably didn't even notice. The visibility was probably not great. But I made myself angry. In 10 seconds, I made myself angry. I do this still. I did it the other day. I was walking my dog, and I would hear a dog barking, and it was very early in the morning. So I start getting angry. Like, why is that person letting their dog bark at 6 a.m.? And that they're going to come out and we're going to have a confrontation. And I'm just making it up. I am just making it up. People would be shocked, I think, at how much they do this. So maybe in corporate life, I probably did this a ton, where maybe I was sitting in a meeting and somebody would make a statement or cut me off or get angry, and I would immediately, oh, he's a misogynist. He doesn't like women, or this person doesn't like the work that I'm doing. And it's just nonsense. 99.999% of it is just nonsense. So when we take the time to actually be self-aware, self-discovery is the best journey we'll ever be on, because the more self-aware we are, the more we recognize what we do in these situations that we think is happening to us. We think the guy cut me off because he's pissed at me. We think that somebody cut me off in a meeting, or he said something that I interpreted as he didn't like or she doesn't like my work. We think that this is all happening to us, but the truth is we have a lot of control over that. So facts and stories is one big area that I have recognized in myself since I've been on this more learned mindset journey since I left corporate, that shocks me how much I do it. And I challenge anybody watching, if you're on a self-awareness journey, just think about when you start having those thoughts that are usually they're negative, and ask yourself, how much are you assuming, making up, just completely fabricating wholesale, and how much of it is just actual fact? The fact is, the man cut me off. That's the only fact. I cannot make up anything else. And to do so just makes me angry. And I think that's a lot of what probably made my corporate life not great, because I had no awareness of this phenomenon. So it's huge.
It's huge. And is there a way of how you deal with it right now? And is there anything that you can recommend our listeners to do in such situation when we catch ourselves in coming up with stories that we completely make up, which might not be a
Yeah,
fact?
right. Yeah, I think self-awareness, being aware that we do this is a huge step. So people sometimes think that when you meditate, you can just clear your mind of thoughts, but that the truth is that we can't clear our mind of thoughts. We can let them go, right? This is the same thing. You're going to do it. It's going to happen. You'll find yourself in a contentious situation, or usually stress brings that out a little bit more. And when you do, it's just being aware and stopping yourself from making up these things and just asking yourself, what actually is the fact here? That guy who pulled out in front of you, he might be a misogynist. He might hate women. He might be angry, but maybe his wife is sick, or maybe his kids haven't called him in, 10 years. I don't know. So act on what you do know and don't react. So respond in a thoughtful way versus react. But just know that don't beat yourself up. Don't criticize yourself too much if it happens, because it happens to everybody. I have made up stories about completely non-existent people that don't even exist. So don't be too hard on yourself, but just self-awareness is probably the first step.
Yeah, I would say self-awareness, as you say, but also compassion, because you don't know what this person has gone through. Maybe just some
Yes.
minutes before. We just don't know. Beth, you are a podcaster and you are known for holding space for your guests with deep empathy and presence. So you you understand mindset. You are compassionate. You know, you put yourself into the other person's shoes who is a guest on your show. So how does that reflect the brand you have built for yourself and for your business? And what can leaders learn from that about building human brands? Because actually, everyone is a brand, not just the company, not just the product, the service experience, but we all together, we are a brand, whether we believe it or not, or we are aware of it or not. But we are a brand with a human factor. So we are a human brand. And what can leaders learn from you as a personal brand representing a podcast, a book, or a company? What can they take away from building human brands?
That is such a great question. And what you're making me think about, and I appreciate that too. This is a different mindset for me from certainly in my corporate days. So I did absolutely hold space in corporate days, but it was different. It was done out of almost a sense of rebellion. Of course, I was sort of like a mother hen. Like, I just wanted to protect my team from this
Mhm.
horrible monster of leadership, right? And they weren't all bad, but there were a few, right? So, and I just wanted to, there was like this sort of need for me to prove that I can take care of these people and to show you that this is how you be a good leader, and you can let them have freedom and flexibility, and they're still going to be amazing productive people. But there was a sense of rebellion about it, and probably a little anger. So it's probably inherent to me, but it's really interesting, because I hated being a leader when I first became a manager. Now in my podcast, I have guests where I really have to take the spotlight off of myself and onto other people,
Mm.
some of whom tell stories that are very heart-wrenching stories. And but I'm in such a better mindset, and that is because I did the work to build that foundation over the last year or so. I don't know that I could have done it in the same way before I did that work and understood my part in it, what we just talked about, the things that I can control. So now it comes from a true place of compassion and vulnerability. And it's not easy sometimes. People are telling stories that I just want to get angry at somebody who hurt them. But it comes from a much better place now. And I think that's empathy, because I've lived a bit of that. And empathy is such a huge thing that I think a lot of leaders lack. So I think that would be, if, as far as what can leaders learn, it's okay to not be in your face. It's okay to let someone else shine. It's okay to have that space for someone and let them
Mm.
tell their story without having to pull in their ego, which that's so huge in a lot of corporate areas, and have that empathy for people that they're going through something or they went through something. And when you have empathy for people, obviously, it's easier for you to let them have that space when they need it. And I think that's what they could learn. Empathy is a huge thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think we could not be able to hold space for our guests if we had not had this experience before. I think everything is coming at the right time and provides us with the right opportunities in the here and now. And it's really okay to be vulnerable. And I think we are always okay how we are in the very moment and who we are in the very moment, and always open to learn. And that experience takes us to the next one and the next and the next. And I think also it had to come at the right time to be as unapologetically bold and funny brained as you are. Maybe you could not have been that before. And my question now is, what role does that humor that you bring along play in branding, especially when it comes to building connections and trust in these serious spaces like leadership or mindset work? How does that go together? Humor has a place in this space of leadership and mindset work where usually things are very serious. So how does that go together? How do you do that?
I love
Because
that.
you are a specialist in that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love humor. I have used humor my whole life. And yes, I used it in corporate. Again, it was probably most of the time to deflect. And, when you have a traditional job, you have to be careful about, not that I would use inappropriate humor, but the level of which is inappropriate in a corporate is very, very low. I mean, I had my hand slapped so many times for, just making little, lighthearted comments. But I think it's so important, and I think that's one of those things that did really help me in that aspect of my career. I will tell you, I'm not gonna tell you the whole story, but I got in trouble at my one of my jobs with the compliance and ethics department because I used humor to help my team get out of they were in a very
Mhm.
deep depression about overwhelm and stuff. So I've used it quite a bit. I think what's different now is because I've done the mindset work and because I'm in a more positive space. I'm still snarky and sarcastic, but I think humor is just a great way to number one, show vulnerability, because we don't want to be too self-deprecating because we want to respect ourselves, but sometimes it's okay to be just a little gently, joking in a confident way, because I think it puts people at ease. It shows vulnerability, right? It shows that we're human. It shows a part of us that is not in that, whatever role you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur or in a role in a traditional job. It just shows a part of it that I think everybody can relate to, right? Because everybody has some level, I think, of humor. They may not show it, but I think it absolutely has a place in leadership. It absolutely does. And that was one of the things that I noticed in traditional jobs is a lot of leaders, again, being very closed off about anything personal, anything funny. I remember I had a director, he was 2 levels above me, and I remember one time I made him laugh. And it was just a joke about jazz hands. It was just some funny joke that I made in a meeting, and he laughed, and it was the first time I'd ever seen him laugh. And I'd worked for him for like 12 years, 2 levels below, but it was pretty closely. And I thought, okay, so he's a human, right? So, yeah, humor's huge. It's never gonna not be a part of what I do. I have used humor in the past probably to mask insecurity. Being in a better mindset now, I think I do better, and it's coming from a more authentic place, but I will admit, it's also a great way to mask insecurity if that's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that very often. And sometimes I did so too to mask it. And as an entrepreneur, we are riding a roller coaster, and sometimes we are in the ups and sometimes we are down in the trenches. And when you find yourself off track, maybe doubting, maybe drained, what's your go to mindset reset? And how do you ensure your identity, your brand remains aligned with who you truly are in those moments?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think part of what helps me is having done that foundational work. I mentioned I had signed up for a program. It was kind of an accident. It was a little over a year ago, and I really have been doing some very structured. I'm a type of person, I like structure, and so I can go out of the structure and off the plan much more easy if I have the structure in the plan. I'm not a spontaneous person.
Mm.
So having that foundational structure of mindset of learning about things like facts and stories and responding versus reacting and gratitude in a different way than I had really understood it or been practicing it before. I think that helps set the foundation to dealing with those times. When I go into those mindsets, and we all do, my number one goal at the time is how can I make myself feel better? Because I truly believe that my emotional state affects everything. It impacts what I'm manifesting, what I am attracting in energies and people. So if I'm in a bad place and there's not a reason for it. I mean, obviously, if somebody dies, you're going to be sad. But if I'm just in a bad place, and my goal is make myself feel better, and how do I do that? Gratitude is a big one. So I will gratitude journal. I will just think of things. I will take some time. I will step away. How the importance of sometimes why are we in that bad mindset, right? Doing things like whatever I can do to clear my mind, and that helps to bring the better mood as well. So meditation, maybe I'll read a book. I'll step away from the computer. I love jigsaw puzzles, so maybe I'll do a jigsaw puzzle just to give that brain a little bit of space and allow some gratitude, allow that better mindset. And then I journal a lot. I like to journal by hand.
Right.
I'll journal what I call word vomit. It's not my phrase, but somebody used it once. I like it. Word vomit, all of the things that are annoying me, and then I'll just tear it up or maybe sometimes burn it. But just little tips like that, and I think having that brain space, so having the foundation, stepping away from whatever it is that is maybe triggering me to allow the brain space and then and I don't try to make myself, oh, I'm depressed and I'm going to be now euphoric. I just want to I want to feel a little better. That's it. Just a little
Mm.
better. And it works. It helps.
Okay. Those are very good tips and tidbits to take away. I also love journaling. It helps me so much. And sometimes just vomiting it out helps a lot.
Yes.
But you've built this live stream podcast, and you are also a best-selling author of 2 books. You brought realness to every platform you're on, basically. What branding lessons that you learned simply by showing up as yourself consistently and courageously? Maybe 3 lessons that you can give us as a
Well, I will
takeaway.
tell you, I have a list that I have kept for the last 2 weeks, Bridget, ever since you were on my podcast, and I call it the wisdom of Bridget Bukowski.
Oh,
Because
God.
so I have been all over the place with branding. I have tried to, I've branded I brand colors and meaning and stuff and logos and stuff for my books, but I never really looked at myself as a whole. And it wasn't long ago where someone had pointed out that they didn't think that my website represented me, what they knew of me. And I took this to heart. So I've really been thinking about that. And then I had you on my show, and you had all of these amazing insights that I had never thought of before. Right. So, and these, by the way, these apply. As I wrote them down, I thought these apply to anything, not just branding, but always looking within, right? Looking within before I start thinking about, well, what's my logo? What's my colors? It's what's in my heart? What is my meaning? Who am I? Who is my true authentic self? Understanding my limiting beliefs is another thing that I've really been looking at with branding, because you brought that up. And I had never thought, oh my God, my limiting beliefs, from my childhood, the thing I've always had body image issues. So if I look at my branding over the years, that insecurity about presenting my physical self to the world has shown up. I would wear drab colors. And yes, I was out there doing funny hats even before the steampunk hat, but it was a little bit of a mask. It was like, pay attention to all of this other stuff around my branding. I'm the hat person. I'm the goofy person. I'm the rebellious person. But I wasn't looking within and letting my true, authentic, badass, amazing self come out. So another great tip from you. And then you said something really that struck me. You said, when you told me the story of when you were in a traditional professional job in corporate world, you were fighting to be seen by others, but you didn't see yourself. And that is something, just recently I was looking at colors for my branding, and I was so drawn to these colors that were bright and beautiful. But I said, well, but maybe I should go more steampunk. It's a little more subdued. And but it didn't feel right. But I was struggling. And I think that was because I was just not, when you said that, I said, oh, I need to see myself, right? I to stop worrying about what everybody thinks and what is my true self. So finding meaning behind things like colors and logos and stuff. And like you said, as you said, it all starts within. It has been such a journey, but I have more on my list of my wisdom of Bridget Bukowski. So that is going to be up on my board.
Oh my God.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
I don't know. I have so many branding lessons. First of all, go to Bridget, talk to Bridget, and she will service you very, very well, even just having a conversation. But also, yeah, remaining true to your authentic self and not being afraid to let that vulnerability come through. So I don't worry anymore about things like, oh, my face looks too fat in that picture. So what? No, it doesn't. It looks fine. So,
Oh my God. Oh, thank you so much. So on all that, if you could give one no BS branding mind shift to the ambitious professionals and entrepreneurs listening today, something they can do right now, what would it be? What action can they take?
oh, I would say I love your thought about looking within. I think that is the greatest advice for branding is starting from within. Don't worry about your colors. Don't worry about your logo. Don't worry about your tagline. Ask yourself who you are from within. What do you want to represent to the world? Your true self. And go from there, because I think everything so much more easily falls into place when you really start inside everything in the world, not just branding. When you look within and you realize, okay, this is who I am, this is what I love, this is what I want to represent, this is the purpose I have in life, that's where you need to start. So that would be my biggest advice is stop worrying about all the other stuff. And believe me, I will spend weeks and weeks on stuff. Don't worry about it. Start with within and then go to Bridget. Go to Bridget and get some other amazing advice because I got a whole list. So.
And thank you so much. But we are not done yet. Gonna wrap up with a fun rapid fire session. I threw out a term
Oh,
and you share the first thought or phrase that comes to mind. Maybe you might want to explain if that is something totally out of what we can comprehend. Okay, make sense of. So the first
sure.
term
Yeah,
would
sounds
be,
good.
okay, mindset.
Mindset, the first thing that comes to my mind is controlling what you can control. Mindset is all about controlling what you can control and not trying to control the entire world, and you'll be a much happier person for it.
You're taking away my second one, which is actually control.
Yeah, absolutely. Control what you can control. The world is not happening to you. You can manage that from within. So stop blaming everybody else. Stop depending on everybody else for your happiness. Control what you can control, and you can control that from within. Control so you can be the person that you want to be all by yourself. Of course, we love people and we need people, but you shouldn't depend on someone else for your happiness. Control what you can, and you cannot depend on your happiness by someone changing because you cannot control them.
Authenticity.
Oh, badassery. Whatever your true self is, just be it. You don't have to be in your face like me and Bridget and just, out there. You can be subdued, quiet, whatever. But let yourself be vulnerable. Let yourself show a little bit of yourself to the world. It builds trust and it makes people really, really want to hear you, see you, buy from you, whatever. So, yeah.
Something very simple, but maybe also very difficult. Life.
Life is it can be so much better than you think it is. So from somebody who used to be a angry, bitter, resentful person under a lot of stress, worried about, oh, I can't give up my paycheck. And now right now, I haven't earned my first million yet, but life is so much more about happiness and joy and taking those, like we said earlier, those ugly things and just realizing that they do make you who you are. So I don't know. I'm in a life is amazing kind of a mode right now. So wherever somebody is out there, it can always be better. And
Yeah,
you can make it that.
positive reinforcement. It's all about your thoughts, right?
Yes.
That you put into something. All right. And last but not least, the brain.
Okay, so brand. Wow. So this is a tough one for me because I've been all over the place, but brand is really who you are and what your purpose is and what your message is and what your mission is in the world, whether you're a person, whether you're a company, whether you're in a corporate job because you still have a brand, or you're an entrepreneur. It is your authentic self out for the world to see. So let it out, be open, be vulnerable, be, sometimes crazy, but yeah, brand is you. It is you. It is you from within. As you said, Bridget, it is you starting with from within.
Love that. Thank you so much. I totally agree. Where can listeners find you and maybe get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. It's Beth Anne Campbell, Anne Campbell, Anne with an E. Sometimes some people spell it without an E. But really, if you just go to my website, bethannecampbell.com, all of my links are there and links to my books. I've got one of my books that you can get for free. So again, bethannecampbell.com, and just make sure you put the E on the end of Anne.
Thank you so much, Beth, for being my guest today on Brands Talk and sharing with us everything about unfiltering branding, the power of speaking out and not fitting in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bridget. I so appreciate you. You are so awesome.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow on your favorite app, share it with your network, and leave a quick review. Stay tuned for the next episode and keep shining.